My name is Amy Gash, and today we're going to talk about comics. So as you can tell, I really enjoy comics, but that's pretty chill for me. I feel like I recently dived into really adoring comics at the beginning of college. And I really haven't looked back. One of my Some of my more original comics, or some of my first comics, is on this wall, which I kind of have dubbed the independent comic book wall, which I know isn't necessarily correct terminology, because these really aren't independent comics. When I think of independent comics, I personally think of stuff like webtoons, and there's tapas. So yeah, all these comic books that I have are major companies. A few to be a good example is The Quiet Kid. This one right here. This is from Dark Horse. Alienated. This is from Boom Studios. Going back to why I call these independent comics, because when you think of comics personally, in my opinion, you think of the two big comics, or the two big comic book companies, which is Marvel and DC. So I kind of have homage around my apartment for both of those two both of those two publishing houses as well. My DC comics are pretty much just my newspaper. So if you were to turn the camera around, right behind you would be part of them, and then I have it when you come in, and if you just look around the wall, those are my DC comics. And then I have another kind of smaller wall in my apartment that shows off a bunch of different comics, but they're all Marvel comics. But the difference between this wall and the wall out there is the fact that the wall out there contains both volumes and also contains individual issues. For those who probably don't know what a volume is, the way that I like to describe issues versus comics and stuff like that is an issue is a single on an album, whereas a graphic novel / volume might be considered more like the EP or the full album. Or I'll call it probably closer to an EP personally. But yeah, that comic book wall out there, my Marvel comic book wall, is mixed not only with individual issues, but also with volumes. Whereas this wall behind me is only has just the regular issues. I have not read all of these comics on here. Up there, I have a lot. I realize that, and hopefully during this time period, this point of history, I'm probably going to get on to reading more comics. Not only is this, in my opinion, a cool way to show my decorations. If I was oh man, I really want to read The Empty Man, I can literally just pick it out, and then come back and read. It's not just decoration, you can actually use it. Some of the more recent comics and some of the comics that I read and really, really, really enjoy was the one I just picked up called The Empty Man. The Empty Man goes hard. Another thing that I really enjoy about my comic book walls, and also comic books that does not fall within Marvel and DC, is that they can kind of be, for me personally, I found them to be kind of a break from always reading about superheroes and stuff like that. I'm not against superhero stories, hence my entire collection, but sometimes to just be able to move it aside and read something like The Twilight Zone or The Empty Man is really nice, in my opinion. So there's a comic that I like that I want to show you guys. It is the comic 1975, but it's all in Roman numerals. I thought that was a really cool comic. I do have it here, but even though it is considered a functional wall, some of the missteps that this wall has is the fact that especially up higher, it's I'm not tall, man. I don't want to have to step on my chair to get it and bring it down and then read it and then show other people. So it has its faults. So Now you can't see it, but I you can't see it from right here, but like the top ones, especially like Buzzkill, like issues 1 through 4, um, like that's not coming down anytime soon, just because it's kind of like a pain to go and get it and stuff like that.